HIV/AIDS was connected in large measure to human activity that many people considered to be unacceptable. And certainly not something that was talked about widely in mid-1980s America. And so what happened back then was no one wanted to talk about it. People were treated as if they had the plague. No one wanted to go near them, no one wanted to touch them. And that stigma attached to that disease caused us to spend less money researching treatments. It caused us not to discuss it. It kept it in the dark, and because it was in the dark, more people were getting it, because we weren't talking about how you get it and how to prevent it. And because of that, we had more and more deaths. When did that change? There's lots of discussion about this, but to me, the moment it changed was when in Los Angeles, California, a press conference was held in the middle of the day, and Magic Johnson came out onto a stage and told the American public that he had HIV/AIDS. All of a sudden, the American public looked and said, wait a second. That's not who we think is supposed to have AIDS. He's a hero. He's a superstar athlete. He's an idol to lots of kids. And that, in my view, began a real change about how we viewed those who had AIDS and what we needed to do to stop it. And because of all of the medical innovation that has happened and the education that's happened in the interim, today, 30 years later, HIV/AIDS is no longer a death sentence. In fact, it is a chronic disease that is treatable in many, many of the patients who get it. And the person who helped turn that around in the American public's mind is still alive. Magic Johnson lives today as the president of the Los Angeles Lakers, and by all accounts, lives a healthy, robust life still 30 years after he was diagnosed. But we remember back in the 80s when this happened, marches on Washington, marches on state capitals, demands for people to get education, demands for people to get treatment, demands for there to be more research. Where are the marches today? Our children are dying. And we are silent. We're silent as a society because we don't want to admit what we're doing to ourselves. We don't want to admit that it's our child who's got the problem because we think it reflects upon us as a parent. The teacher doesn't want to admit it's their student. The brother or sister doesn't want to admit it's their sibling. The husband or wife doesn't want to admit it's their spouse. See, because somehow we think that reflects upon us. I can't tell you how many times I go to treatment centers and I have roundtables with the patients and they introduce themselves to me to tell me their story, and they almost invariably say to me, but Governor, I'm from a good family. And I answer all of them the exact same way. I say, of course you are. Why would you think I would think otherwise? This disease is everywhere. It is indiscriminate and it affects everyone. And I went down to open a treatment center in Monmouth County. And I had a group of ignorant, ill-informed, NIMBY, reactionary parents standing at this open-air event screaming me down because this treatment center, outpatient treatment center in Shrewsbury, New Jersey, was going to be on the same street as the school. And I turned to them and asked them, I said, who do you think's coming in here? It's your kids. And the minute it happens to be your child, You're going to be screaming at me still, but for something different. You're going to be screaming at me wondering, where's the treatment bed for your child? Because when it's someone else's child, it's sad. When it's your child, it's a crisis.